my detailed thoughts on Kindred. So, like I said, my father watched it, tried to put me onto it. I wasn't really interested, but I watched it to see what had him so hyped. We do have a similar taste in TV shows, so I was like, I gotta like it somewhat. And I started off, and I was just not feeling it. Spoilers, if you haven't watched my channel before, everything I say has spoilers. I don't, hold back. So it starts out with her. It starts out with like a middle scene from the finale where she's hurt. She's got back injuries. You don't know what's going on. She lays in a bath. She has a bag. You don't know what any of this stuff means. But it's obvious. It's supposed to mean something later on, obviously. But you don't know what. Which I don't like the way they did it. Like Memento. Memento's famous for telling the story backwards, right? But it keeps you engaged and sucked in by starting with the end and moving back to the beginning. This, like a lot of other shows that try to take this technique, were starting with the end. And it didn't work as well because I had questions, but not like I was really engaged and was like, oh man, what's going on? This looks so interesting. It was more like, what the fuck is going on? This shit don't make sense. They better explain this shit, It was more annoying than interest. Cops are at her door screaming her name and shit. And then it goes to the past. And a few days earlier. And she goes to dinner with her family, her aunt, uncle, and she has like this drama with them. But my issue was like, it wasn't well written enough. It wasn't realistic. For a black family, and like especially for me and my family. I come from a Haitian family, and Haitians, they are very strict. They consider themselves gods, and whatever they say is a fact, and you can't question it, you can't deny it, you can't argue with your elders in my family. So that was unrelatable for me in both aspects of a black man and just my family in general. So it didn't feel like a black family argument or drama. Like the way she was talking back to them, that shit would not fly in a real black family at all. And nigga walked off because he was mad. Then no fucking uncle, father, grandfather will walk off because they're mad. They'll flip out and they'll probably still hit you even though you're an adult. So that was kind of corny to me. And then she goes home, and the next day she has her argument with her aunt again, and it was just so dumb. It was just a stupid ass argument. The way her aunt was arguing with her, I was like, that's not. I don't know any aunt that would handle it like that. My arm is tired because I'm weak. Like no aunt would handle that argument that way. And then like she calls the main character. The main character's name is Dana, by the way. Her aunt's name is Nisi. Nisi calls Dana a princess, and that's like this massive insult to her, which is so stupid because every chick wants to be a princess. I could see like a privileged white girl being bothered being called princess or some shit, but this bitch being called princess, I don't see why it bothered her so much, but whatever. So skip forward. There's this scene, she's like in old times, and I guess you think she's sleepwalking. I'm thinking the bitch is just crazy, and she's just seeing shit. And she's thinking the same thing until it happens again. So I skipped something. So a very important thing was the waiter from the dinner argument. He takes her home that night, and he's gonna be the love interest. I don't know why, they had no chemistry. And they match on a dating app. And so the next day she has shit to get done. After she has an argument with her aunt, she's like, I can't rely on my family. So I'm gonna reach out to this random nigga from yesterday who gave me a ride, which I didn't like that. He just did all that the other day. Like, no motherfucker is doing all this shit for a chick that they just met and they didn't smash. Actually, I take that back. I know some corny ass niggas who would do anything for the attention of a woman, so never mind. But still, it was just so corny to me and just not believable. And then, so the next day, he comes back to give her a ride to all her errands. Like, as a boyfriend, I hate doing that shit. Husbands hate doing that shit. This random nigga is gonna do all these errands for this random chick, bro. That shit is not real. So that was stupid and made no sense. And then after he does all that, she smashes him. Typical writing. So she just has to pay him with sex, like a hooker. And all of a sudden they're like cuddling in bed and shit. Like they got some kind of chemistry and they got feelings or some bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. So everything's fine. And this is why I don't know if I said it before, but I don't like the main character. I do not like Dana. The protagonist was the worst part of the show. She's stupid, and she's fucking nuts, and she never makes sense, ever. And so yeah. So on top of that, she yeah, so they get into a random argument. Everything is fine. I think she had another sleepwalking dream thing happen, except this time that's when she realized she goes back in time, because she went back to the same place, but it was years later. She had saved the baby the first time. This time it's a kid. It'll be the same kid. She saves his life. Excuse me. And the father tries to shoot her because she's black and blah blah blah. And she returns to the present, and except the difference is this time, homeboy was here, so she's talking about it. He hears her screaming in the kitchen, right? He thinks she's sleepwalking, and she freaked out, as it happens, people sleepwalk. And these annoying ass neighbors come, and these people, this is believable because people like this really do exist. They really fucking exist. The nosy neighbors, the Karen couple. They come knocking on the door, asking too many questions, getting too involved, trying to look in the crib, threatening to call the police, all that shit. These people are the worst people on the planet. They should not exist. They ruin our society. So I appreciate this being well written and realistic. So then, like, she's all frustrated. He's a little frustrated and concerned because he doesn't want any drama. He doesn't know this bitch. He just slept over and fucked her. And he's trying to ask what happened. She talked about the sleepwalking shit, but it felt real. She went to the past. He don't believe her. And he said something about her being a princess because he watched her just drop like 15,000 in one day. Like it's nothing. Now, he's saying princess. The way he said it, it was more like playful and endearing. It was not an insult whatsoever. But she fucking flipped out. It triggered her like it was a massive insult. I know it's supposed to be like, oh, it's triggered because her aunt said that earlier today. But she doesn't have any trauma with the word princess. I understand if that was an insult used against her entire life, but it was just an insult used earlier and not used as an insult in this instance. But she fucking flips out, and that's why I'm like, this bitch is fucking nuts. And she's just getting mad about everything, and she's just bitching and moaning. She don't even know this nigga! And she's doing all this dramatic shit. And I was like, this bitch is pissing me off. I don't like her. Why am I watching the show? So after she does all that freaking out, right, and he turns around and she's like, you gotta leave. You call me princess. You have to leave my house. And he's like, what the fuck is it? He's like, all right. So he starts getting dressed with his back turned to her, which who gets dressed like that? And while his back is turned to her, while she's screaming all angry, she teleports again because apparently frustration and fear sent her back in time. So yeah, she goes back in time and he actually sees her disappear. So he's like, oh shit, this bitch is not crazy. That bitch is crazy. She has powers, but she's crazy. So he witnessed it. She went back in time again, and that's when she met her mother. So her mother died when she was a kid, but it turns out her mom didn't die. Her mom was driving a car in New York, which it's funny. They're supposed to be from New York, and they all sound Southern, except for Dana. She don't sound Southern, but she don't sound New York either. She's like some Valley girl, like she's from Cali. But anyway, yeah, she meets her mother, which was cool. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting story point, that her mom didn't die. She just disappeared because she went back in time, which unfortunately killed her father because she was behind the wheel of the car. So when she disappeared, the dad just crashed into the fucking sea and died. That sucks for him. Should have married a bitch with powers. So then on top of that, sorry, my uncle just passed by and distracted me on my video. Yeah, so she reconnected with the mom, and then she goes back in time. She goes back to the present again, and I'm not getting into all this. I don't want to talk about all the story details. I just want to get my thoughts on the show. Like I said, I don't like Dana, right? But I did appreciate that this show made time travel into slave time's a little more realistic than other things I've seen. It's not completely realistic, but it was done better. Like, I'll give you an example, was DC Legends of Tomorrow. I remember they had gone to like the old Western times, and Firestorm is a black dude. And like nobody was reacting to this free black dude just walking around like in this extremely racist, murdering time. And nobody's really reacting. Like towards the end of the episode, I think some white dude said some racist shit. They can't say nigger on fucking CW, so he said like boy, and like he like turned around, stood up for himself, and I think he hit the dude. And what made it so unrealistic, aside from that being unrealistic, what made it more realistic was like all the other racist white people didn't really react. So like shit like that, like so many other shows do this time travel shit with a black character but don't react to the blackness and the racism of the time they went to. So that's why I say this is a little better, but it's still not realistic enough because she just got away with too much too fucking easily. Not questioned enough. The way she talked, they didn't question how she fucking talked. Like, she didn't sound like no fucking slave. She sounded like a modern day girl now from Cali. And yeah, that happened, and I appreciate that. But otherwise, it was still annoying because she just kept making stupid decisions, and it's like, as a black woman, like just on simple slave history you're given in middle school, you should have an idea of you know, how to handle shit during this time. But also, like, if you actually studied black history, you know, as an adult in more detail, you know, you wouldn't make the stupid decisions she was making. She just kept doing dumb shit, and it was frustrating me. Like, and shit kept going south because of the decisions that she kept fucking making. And she swears she's doing the smartest shit in the world, but she's doing the dumbest shit. And she would just annoy me because she'd always get into these random arguments with Kevin just because she can't handle her fucking emotions. There's nothing more annoying than an emotionally unintelligent person. And this bitch is so emotionally unintelligent. And it was just so frustrating to watch. And I don't even want to talk about this show anymore because I'm getting frustrated. But I really enjoyed it. Actually, like, it really sucked me in. By like episode 3 or 4, I was really engaged. Like, what the fuck are they going to do? They're stuck in slave times. Like, how's she going to go back? And like this white dude Kevin got to sit here and like try to pretend to be a racist slave owner and deal with all this shit. And then it got real crazy when there was this scene where the plantation owner took him to a show, and I thought it was gonna be like some strip show or some shit. It wasn't stripping. It was supposed to be watching a male slave rape a female slave, and that was fucked up. They didn't show it, thank God, but that was like fucked up. Like, I'm thinking, like, I know about like they would have slaves fight each other and shit. I thought it was gonna be that because they had him shirtless. They poured alcohol down his throat, had him sit in a chair like about to have a boxing match. No, it was to have him rape somebody, and that was fucking nuts. And that's what put the main male protagonist Kevin over the edge. And he finally was like, "Yo, fuck this shit. Like, I don't fuck with this shit. I don't fuck with you." So like the plantation owner Tom was like, "Yo, like, I thought you were a slave master. What's going on?" And he's like, he's just tired of lying. He's just not answering. And then Tom got tight when he started to like get the truth of what kind of man Kevin really is, and he's like, "Give me my horse, and you can't come to my house or I'll kill you." And he pulls out a gun. If you know anything about like Kevin should be smart enough to know that those guns, you can't just pull them out and shoot them back then. You had to fucking load them up and shit. It took time. The point is that Kevin was in no real fucking danger in that moment, but he didn't put up a fight, and that shit pissed me off. I'm leaving out a lot of details because I don't want to make a 45-minute video and shit, but just Kevin and Dana kept pissing me off. And like I said, Dana would just like randomly not be able to handle her emotions and just like take it out on Kevin and start arguing with him about nothing, about literally nothing. And he's trying to console her, and she's being a bitch to him, and I just did not root for her at all. But all in all, it was a good show. It is entertaining. Like, if you get past the stupidity of these two characters, the rest of the show is actually really good. The dude who plays the plantation owner, Tom, is the dude that played, what's his name, Jerry Stackhouse? Whatever, the Stackhouse brother in True Blood. I like that actor. It's funny how this Australian dude keeps getting these Louisiana-sounding roles and shit. But yeah, time travel is awesome. I hate slavery, but I love time travel. And in the end, she ended up bringing her mom back to the present, which was great because Everybody thought that Dana was crazy and that her mom was crazy and killed herself. But then it just ends. It ends with the reveal that the mother is in the present, and that shit pissed me off. I know I left out a lot of details. If you want more details, go watch the show. But yeah, that ending like pissed me off because it was just so abrupt. Because like now I'm legit into it. I'm into it. I want to know what's gonna happen, and they just fucking cut it on you. Put the credits. I'm like, fuck, they did Sopranos on me, and I just can't wait for next season. I know that I did a lot of complaining, and didn't really say all the good stuff about the show. But that's because I had a lot to complain about. Those are my thoughts on Kindred. Outside of my complaining, I do recommend the show. You give it a try. It's actually good because season 2 is coming, and you're going to want to watch this because you're going to want to watch season 2. Check out Kindred on Hulu and FX.